Tabletops will start after the following messages.
What if music was magic? Against the Gloom is a fantasy TTRPG about punk pirate troubadours fighting back against a bleak world, 1 gig at a time. From Scripted Games, the studio that brought you Psychic Trash Detectives, comes a new game by Dustin Patrick Winter. Against the Gloom is about harnessing the power of music, finding chosen family, and building community in the face of the void. Find it now on Kickstarter. Rock on.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Tabletop. You know, sometimes when I'm doing a TTRPG session, my characters do something really cool, but I don't want to give them a reward to kill things with. I want to give them something that is not combat related. And so today, we're talking about non-combat rewards in TTRPGs. These are rewards that are not immediately tied to combat, but before we get into the topic, I'm going to remember to intro my other host. So why don't we start with you this time, since you never go first.
I never ever go first. My name's Shade.
So that one time you did.
Yeah, the one time. Shade, yeah.
Okay, cool.
This is Rio, and my favorite non-combat reward is a little kiss on the forehead.
All right, we'll swing over.
I'm Franco, and my favorite non-combat reward is being tucked in at night.
You know what? Because I didn't say, hey, helping you was reward enough.
Aw. I'm Nick,
Okay,
and my
like
non-combat reward is sunset, holding hands with you. All right, everyone, let's get into non-combat rewards.
How would you hold hands with a sunset?
No, it's a sunset whilst we are holding hands.
Oh,
Yeah.
Whilst.
All right, so let's get into this. So we're talking a little bit off mic about this. This is like very much, I
Sorry,
think,
Mike.
because
I really appreciate, Mike is really calm about us being on his back like this.
yeah,
It's
when
really
we're
cool,
on
Mike.
mic, he's very quiet. But
He's
when
so
we're
quiet.
off mic,
He talks.
yeah. He talks.
All right.
I wish you guys were here to see Mike. He's a great guy.
So if you look at any sort of like TTRPG, like magic items book or a rewards book, you're going to see a lot of like treasure stuff for like economic side, but then you also have a lot of like weapons and magical items that can be used in combat. There's some that are out of combat and utility stuff, but people really remember, like the Vulper. Oh God, what is it called?
The Vorpal sword.
Vorpal sword. That's like one
That's
of
a combat weapon.
Yeah, I'm saying that's like the classic thing that people remember as
Sure.
like one of the kind of go-to magic items. So how do you go about making sort of a reward structure for your players that does not involve the mechanic of combat at all? That still feels like a real reward that they like.
I'm going to put a little modification on that.
All right.
That doesn't immediately put you in mind of combat, because your players will always surprise you on something they will do with an item.
Yeah.
Like I would say, for example, in traditional D&D, an immovable rod is not a combat item. I guarantee that it has become a combat item in Subtable at some point.
Talk to Franco.
Yeah, you like you put like choke a creature with an immovable rod and then lock it and then walk away.
No,
It's like
Franco
horrifying.
literally, I think, drowned someone with an immovable rod.
Franco.
He pushed them to the bottom of a body of water and then put an immovable rod on their neck.
That was me.
Oh, that was you.
I was gonna say that does sound familiar. It was.
I would never assume you would do something like that.
Franco's eyes are so wide.
That was. It was Hank, and it was the Fire Ganassi.
It was Trusk, the orc.
The orc, the
Fire
Fire Ganassi.
Ganassi.
And I flew him into the sky because you hated Hank.
Still do.
Yeah, he was an Aasimar and an asshole, and flew him into the sky.
He wasn't an asshole.
No, he wasn't an asshole.
He just had wings.
Yeah, he just had wings. Flew him into the sky, flew him into the water, had the removable rod, hit the bank, and yeah, I trapped him down there. But he lived because that was why I did it.
I'm gonna disclaimer asterisk. The reasons I hated Hank have a lot to do with self-reflection.
Self-reflection.
Self-reflection. Because one of the things I really don't like in literature or film is the comically obtuse idiot character.
Yeah, which is what he was.
Which is what Hank was.
Yeah.
And how Shade would play him is like you would say something that Shade would then intentionally misinterpret.
Yeah.
Which I hated so much.
Sorry.
But it's also something that I constantly do to people.
Yeah.
Myself.
Yeah.
In conversations as a bit. I didn't like seeing it. I didn't like interacting with it. And it probably made me a better person to live through that.
Still sorry.
But no, don't be sorry, Shade. Be aggressive. Be aggressive. I myself, I have never been wrong about anything, and I feel like you would benefit from that mantra.
Very funny.
Good to know. So anyway, a movable rod. Yeah, I did forget that I did
we were
that.
talking about something else.
So an item that's not immediately a weapon.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
One thing is like, is a non-combat reward like an item, or is it something else? Is it sort of like a title or like something like that gets them into social encounters?
I gave my players a manor. I gave them
like a manor house.
No,
or
like a man. In terms of
a peerage or
peerage.
Okay.
They're like manor. They're knights technically.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I gave them that. That was a reward. It was straight out of what was it? Bar crawl. Borderland.
Oh, Return to the Keep on the Borderland.
Barkeep on the Borderlands. By Prismatic Wasteland.
Yeah.
Wonderful product. Spoiler alert for the thing that you get. Oh, no, they tell you at the beginning. That's what you get at the end.
It is really hard to decouple in a D&D setting items away from combat, since that game is designed for combat. Because I was just thinking, like, one of the things that I tried to reward people with back in the Gilded Canaries was improvements to the Sid Rat, the wagon that carried them all around. But even a lot of those improvements were defense or what if your Sid Rat gets attacked? And that was going to be my go-to for this conversation. But I was like, no, I basically made that a combat.
Yeah, it
wagon.
was basically like, oh, you mount like a crossbow to the Sid Rat so you can fire off of it and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff like you go faster. It's more comfortable. You have more room inside because it's a interspatial thing. But it's like for a lot of those rewards, I thought I was giving them, but I was giving a different means of combat. You just never used the Sid Rat in combat too often.
Yeah. I think that it's also really interesting, like, when I in Lakewood gave you sort of like an item, it was a silvered sword because that was something that you used all the time. But its main thing that was the reward was that you didn't have to explain it to NPCs.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing because like Monster of the Week has. So I already had the sword.
Yeah, but they have tags.
But you can do tags in Monster of the Week. So I do think Monster of the Week again.
It's very weapon heavy.
There is a weapon heavy element to its items, and I love its tag system. That's something I will sing praises. I know other games do it too, but fun, a lot of fun in Monster of the Week.
Because it's also a really nice way to just it's that classic MMO thing where it's like, I like the look of my sword. I like the sword that I've had my whole life. And it's like, okay, then I'm just going to give you a new tag on it that makes it more useful.
Yeah, and I think that though was non-combat because it was, at least in some respects, because it was really just about the fact that we're in a modern setting.
Yeah,
we are doing a Buffy-esque game, walking around a sword in the 1990s USA.
Yeah,
not an immediately cool look. Like for most people will be like, I'm going to call a cop on that pervert real quick.
Yeah, that LARPer.
And at least, in the setting that we were in. So, yeah, that was non-combat in that respect. Yeah. But then on the flip side of that, it is combative because, I mean, like...
It just allows you to be armed for when
you're
in combat. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's like concealed carry and,
a fantasy kind of setting.
Yeah.
I have been recently watching... a new anime.
Okay.
I'm going to try not to butcher the title. It's called Frieren, Beyond the Journey Back.
Don't know it.
Basically, the setup is like it starts, the interlude is these 4 heroes have slain the Demon King, and it's like after the epic quest, you follow this elf who's going to live for another like a few hundred years.
I have,
and like the first 2 episodes,
that's a sad one.
like
It's
the
good,
party
though.
members kind of die because she forgot to go look at them for like 50 years, or some, because she's already like 1,000. Time doesn't pass for her the way it does for humans.
Yeah.
But her hobby is collecting interesting spells.
Yeah.
And a non-combat reward would be, I think, like really fun spells, because one of the things that she found is a spell that just lets her bloom any flower that she's ever seen. And then one is like she can create. She learned a spell that does shaved ice, so she can just make shaved ice as a treat. Whenever, and it's like, if magic exists in your world, magic doesn't have to be fireballs or mind control. Like you could actually put some like really just fun spells in there that do like really cool things, and like could be, or like Gandalf's fireworks in The Hobbit, Lord of the Hobbits.
Lord of the Hobbits.
Where it's like, oh, you have some firecrackers that do a really great thing, and you can make everyone so happy.
Yeah. I love that, and I'm a big fan of utility items as well. So if you give
Belts.
me, that's right, man, utility belts. Woo! That way I can carry my batarangs and smoke bombs.
Your bat shark repellent.
That's right. But no,
The 60s, folks. It was a wild time.
Utility abilities, items, something that will give me the ability to speak with insert whatever.
Yeah.
I'm on it immediately. Give it to me now. Reading that language, yes, I want it. I am always going to take that.
Yeah, one of the things like that
I'm sorry. I'm filtering everything you're saying right now through like a
Adam
sexy
West.
filter.
Oh.
It's like, yeah, give me that. I'll take it anytime.
I thought you were talking
And it's
about like the
no,
Adam
it's
West
just-
Batman.
Yes, he said a sexy
I'm
filter.
letting-
Adam West Batman.
I'm reading it like shades in a porn, and it's like, I can't turn this filter off, and I don't know why it turned on. But that's happening in my head right now.
Okay.
But one thing going to what you were saying about utility is also like
Immediate. We drive by that. We're not stopping there.
No, we're not.
This is
no
called
one
the
ever has to
driveway
think about me
segue.
in that context.
So here we go. The thing about these kind of utility rewards that I think is interesting is that it also is just reducing the amount of difficulty of the game in some way, like allows you to essentially forget a mechanic or something like that. Like for me right now in Waterdeep, I have the X-ray ring, which is one of my favorite rewards I've gotten, and I didn't think I was gonna really love it at first. I was like, man, everyone got like a dragon fist that like shoots fire out of their fist. That's super cool. And I got like an X-ray ring. What does that mean? And then I was like, I've used every single session since then.
I was
Yeah,
going
he's
to
a creepo
ask,
perv. That's why, guys.
I was going to ask you because I genuinely
Shit's
could
OP
not
as hell.
today remember that thing. How did it come to you?
I think it was from an ICO.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. It was like a tier 3 reward. or
No, it
something
was like a
that.
tier 2 or tier 1 reward.
Okay, right, yeah.
And like the thing that it was interesting is that a lot of the characters who had like really high tier rewards were very combat oriented, because those characters are very combat oriented in the ICO.
It was
I
like
think.
ICO 2.
Yeah.
When I at that point of those, I was still really like I was tailoring the
were
rewards
so young
for
then.
you. I was still young, but I was tailoring the rewards for each of your characters specifically.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember putting a lot of thought into why I would give Marcus an X-ray ring.
Yeah.
So I have enjoyed you utilizing that.
Yeah, and
So
it was
that-
because he's an investigator, so it makes so
Yeah.
much sense. But like literally, like Stephen was the person who like got number 1 spot or number 2 spot, because like I had thrown myself down this pit before them.
Yeah.
To let them
Oh,
win.
that's the year I got mad at everyone.
because we
Yeah.
voluntarily let
You killed
the
me, and then
ghost
you
come
killed
out.
yourselves. And
Yeah.
I was like, you could have just killed yourselves before you killed me, you fucks.
That's true. That's pretty fucked up.
It
You
was
were so
because
right.
it was because Rio was like, we were like, okay, Rio, why don't we like let Sean's character win?
You don't
because
vote for a winner in a battle royale.
Exactly. So then, and Rio was like, no fucking way, I'm going to kill all of you. And we're like, no, we have to make sure that he's able to come back to life. I guess we're killing Rio, and then to ensure that Sean would get the first place.
And
so we
the
did that.
arbitrator of the event did nothing to stop the corruption.
Yeah, that was pretty fucked up.
It was pretty fun, though.
It really fucked me over too.
Yeah.
Everybody went after me. Because I played a villain.
Very, very dangerous.
Yeah, I was playing a villain
You were a
character.
Rakshasa.
Yeah, but you
You had
guys,
magical claws. We had to stop you.
I didn't get one fucking hit in.
Yeah, because
You know what? Here's a non-combat reward. I want our friendship back.
No, but the thing about it though was like Steven, who got a second place, got like literally like a wand of a war mage or something. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's like a +3 motherfucking weapon. And like he got all this stuff with it. Like X-ray ring, I was like, ah, man, I guess Shade couldn't come up with something. And then now I was like,
What do you mean?
X-ray
Ring is so good.
Yeah, no, but I didn't realize it at first. And then I was like, oh man, this non-combat item is super useful. Which is a thing that I kind of want to talk about. It's like, how do you make the value of these rewards known to your players?
But I really, because I want to talk about that too, but I do think we need to couch it in the idea of like the push and pull between completely
Separating them?
Well, no, completely removing a challenge. Because you really hit. We try and do outlines for these, and I almost typed a thing that was like problems with doing that. I was like, that's not fair to say. They're not problems.
It is kind of though.
Well,
because
yeah,
if you
it's like,
have
I gave you, you just learned Goodberry. Goodbye.
Yeah, or it's like, or like to your speak with X. Like, what if you got like a speak with stone spell, right? And like,
man, I'd use that
you
all the
can
time.
never do a mystery again because you can be like, okay, I wonder who killed this person. Cobblestone.
But yeah,
who
comprehend
fucking-
languages is pretty powerful as well.
yeah.
Identify is very powerful.
Yeah, right.
That's one of those spells that I always am mad at everyone else's interpretation of.
Which one?
Speak with, like speak with animals.
Sure.
Speak with, or I don't think there's a speak with.
I don't
song.
think there is. Yeah.
No.
Speak
I'm
with
saying,
plants,
like, if
though.
you made it up. Yeah.
Speak with plants.
But it's like I always want it to be you speak with animals, and it's like you can't ask them. I'm looking for a man in all black. It's like I'm looking for something. Has anything dangerous come?
Yeah.
And you have to speak in this like what my friend would tell me like high context, sort of like was there danger? Was there something weird? Something out of like the natural order? And like I've always just viewed it as like a more empathic, emotional exchange. And then when I cast it in this one game that I'm in,
Was it?
I end up getting like a Shakespearean narrator, and I'm like, no, the spell doesn't grant him sentient intelligence.
Let me give a little bit of context to this. So they have this really wonderful little like mascot, which is this little lizard that they saved. And the way I interpreted Speak with Animals is that it gave this lizard sentience and hopes and dreams, and he wants to be a poet. And then every time he like loses that power, he goes back into the non-sentient lizard. But he knows when he like whenever he casts it again, he's like, "Don't send me back to that like that black hole of like non-sentience, please. I have hopes. I want to make the next great play."
Isn't the target self?
No, it's I guess, but in this context, no.
Not the
it's
way Nick's
best.
interpreted it. I've got a lizard that I'm holding on to desperately because I'm like, I have to find a way to awaken him because I can never catch Speak with Animals again.
You know, I will
But
say
it's on you.
this is
Talk to that one.
It's so funny though.
The target is self.
Honestly,
Sorry.
I don't care. It's so funny to me because they love this creature, and whenever they cast Speak with Animals, he's like super helpful. He's like, I'm one of you. I'm an adventurer too. Please don't let me go back to being that mind machine.
But the spell has a duration and we can't stop it.
That's some flowers for Algernon shit.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, it's definitely not the way the spell works,
Yeah.
but I do
No,
love
that's
it.
really fun, and it's
so
good.
fun.
And you're right.
Yeah.
You're right that it is good, and that
Yeah.
you should keep doing it this way. But it is incorrect. Rules is written,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
have to send you to
And
D&D
Rio-
jail. The Pinkertons are outside.
Rio, you are right as far as like the it is meant to be more of a I think Baldur's Gate 3 does this too, where it honestly, if for anyone who hasn't played the game, it's really fun, blah blah blah. But
Blah, 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 blah.
See our review in an earlier
Yeah.
episode. Shane is
But,
a lot more invested in that.
yeah. But Speak with Animals is a must in that game. If you don't have it, you're really like
You're playing it
Right,
wrong.
you have to
No,
suck that
optimally.
bear to get to like the next
there's-
story arc.
It is such a rewarding spell in that game, and they just give it to you for free so easily. So the animals in that are some of the best characters. Like they are really energetic and really fun, and I think that's how most people play it. But the rules as written in 5e. It's the knowledge and awareness of beasts is limited by their intelligence. At minimum, they can give you information about nearby locations and monsters, including whatever they can perceive or have perceived within the past day, which I think is important because, like, what they can perceive is different from your perception. Like, a dog is not going to see colors the same way you see colors.
We're just going to smell that bandit
Correct.
who loves to eat onions.
Yeah, exactly. You got to think about the other things. But that's all tangentially.
I'm going to talk to this fucking, what's it called? What's the lobster that can see like a million colors or whatever?
Oh,
the mantis shrimp.
Yeah,
mantis
yeah.
shrimp. Talk to this mantis shrimp.
Yeah. But, you know, so there are ways to still put hurdles for some of those things. Like, that can sidestep so many issues, but then you can still present like, okay, yes, you have an extra avenue, but you haven't completely stepped over this hurdle. There's, you know.
But yeah, I just think that some, like, going back to the Speak with Stone example, like, that will basically make it so that your players will always know the, you know, like, you can, like you said, kind of couch it like stones don't have eyes, so they just tell you like the type of footfalls it has or whatever.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, but like,
I love that. I would do that. I'd still want to talk to them.
It's like, in my long slumber, I was awakened by vibrations.
Oh man, it's just like the
Don't
Raven
send
Tower.
me back into the void.
The cold. It just disappears.
The main character in Raven Tower is a big rock.
Oh yeah, that's
So,
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that it is hard to walk that line sometimes with rewarding people, because, like, also going back to the peerage thing,
Sure.
like, that could also allow them to basically always win social interactions, you know what I mean, with any commoner, and that's tough.
I almost never take the noble background in like a D&D game, because I'm like, if you're a noble, you can you've already won at life to a very large extent.
But yeah, that's why the only time I've played a noble, I was like a disgraced noble.
Yes, exactly.
Or I was Senfi and I was looking for my sister.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I played a noble background one time, and it was I had found out that my family had done something bad, and I was on the outs.
There you go.
Yeah. Stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got
it's
to
a-
present
it's a
hurdles.
gift. Yeah, you gotta make your own. Yeah, you gotta give your own hurdles to people with privileges.
Yeah, so how do you reward somebody that is just a clean reward without then punishing them on the back end? Because, like, the thing for me with the peerage is, like, yeah, you always win, like, your arguments with commoners. You can always get a discount at, like, a thing if you, like, force the issue. But maybe you get pulled into a bunch of, like, noble bureaucracy, like, politics bullshit.
Yeah, because you're a knight, so you're a bannerman.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, then what if your character's like, oh, this fucking sucks. Like, I don't want this. You know what I mean? Like, that becomes like a hard thing to balance. Like, how do you reward somebody without, one, making like a core facet of the game basically skippable, or how do you do it without making it feel as though you have, in a way, punished them? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like talking about this on a general level, like we are, is very difficult, because I feel like the rewards that you're talking about that would be the best suited, you would need actual player information.
Yeah.
You need to know
Like
what
backstory?
No, not backstory, but like what
they doing
does
now?
Franco value?
Oh, yeah.
Like what would Franco
So not
like in this
character,
game?
but player.
Right.
Yeah.
Like what rewards could you give in a game that would would really connect with them and would make their character feel more alive
Shade has
or
an
more
idea.
invested.
I was going to say, do we want to play that out real quick?
Yeah.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
say that I've got a character. Let's say...
Well, actually, why don't we do this right after this break?
Hi guys, I'm Matt, and I am half of Roleplay Chat. Roleplay Chat is a podcast and passion project from two game masters who can't stop talking about role-playing games. We talk about games like Dungeons & Dragons, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, the Fate core system, Call of Cthulhu, and many more. In Roleplay Chat, Chris and I take deep dives into tabletop RPG subjects. We touch on topics ranging from something as simple as traps all the way to abstract concepts like pacing or engagement at your table. Chris and I take you through unscripted chats, showcasing our roleplay strategies, providing you with concrete tools in the aim of improving as a player or as a game master. Our bi-weekly show can be found wherever you podcast. Just look for Roleplay Chat. That's ROLE Play Chat.
Wow, that Idris Elba gold thing again was really great.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that joke up again.
All right, Shane, right before the break, we were going to talk about playing that scenario out, but I didn't let you get to explain it, so here we are.
I was going to say, let's I don't know if we want to do this for each of us, but
RP, let's get some background music
yeah. Okay.
Here comes the crackling fire.
I've got Sora.
Sure.
Right? Sora is a
God.
character. Yeah, I know.
She's a fucking
She's
psycho.
a psychopath. I know.
She killed a girl.
She murdered that
did
maid.
a lot of people.
And nobody found out.
Fuck. All right, let's do Sebni instead.
Sora got her reward with a face full of gold.
Brought to you by the Gold Council.
let's say it's Sebni. So we've got Sebni. Sebni is a druid / monk.
/ werewolf.
/ werewolf.
/ lawyer.
Shifter is
/
what he
lawyer.
is. Yeah, he's a lawyer.
Bureaucrat.
He's a werewolf lawyer.
He's a shifter, a werewolf more or less. But
He's an ambulance chaser. Oh, woo.
well, this has been Tabletops. We really appreciate you being here. It's not going to get better than that joke. So he is a character that does have, I would say, not really a monetary appreciation as I intended him.
Sure.
He is a character that has moral obligations. How would you, each of you as DMs, reward this player? Because a lot of the items he received were either cursed, or very weapons focused. Not always, but just as an example. So what?
How dare you?
What non-weapon items would we give?
For Sebni?
Because the three of you know that character.
Well, here's the thing that I was going to say again, like, immediate thing that comes to mind is like a ring that allows him to suppress the werewolf curse, right? But that also just takes away something like a mechanic that has been a difficulty in your character, which is just removing something. You know what I mean? It's not additive.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe...
I was going to go the exact opposite direction, and I was going to reward him with like a wolf pack, like near where he stays, where he has like a place where he can go relax and get out of the bureaucracy. It's like, hey, this pack actually looks forward to you, and you
His
can
paralegals.
Yo, that's great. That's a really good reward, actually. Yeah. No, that's perfect. His paralegal pack.
Oh, man.
That's really good.
They all have little like messenger bags. But the thing about that though is like, isn't that going to be used in combat?
Yeah,
having a pack of wolves.
Well, okay, but you can set like parameters on.
But again,
that.
like he's saying with like the immovable rod, like anything you give your players could be used in combat.
Sure.
But like if you pull these wolves away from their home just so you can attack monsters with them, you're kind of a dick.
Yeah, they're not gonna
sacrifice themselves for you. You're just part of their pack.
Right.
Right.
I would say, like, for both of your examples, how I would,
Mine's better.
They're both fantastic examples.
Plus
Rio,
one to me.
Rio, we'll start with yours. I would say, like, okay, I as a player might say, hey, can I summon those wolves real quick? If I were you, Rio, I would then say, okay, you have
really
to
like
roll.
that.
It's not like that. I could just say that, but maybe I want to, hey, that's a creative thing. You could do it this time, it works out. Or you howl and it doesn't work out. Like I might make it situational. I might even tie a skill to it. Like I have to make a persuasion check at disadvantage, or a persuasion check versus their perception. How far away are they? Can they hear me howl to the sky? Things like that. I could throw some mechanics in there. For Nyx, which was equally good, and I didn't forget. I didn't forget what it was, but Nick remind us.
The ring that suppressed your.
Holy shit!
Oh, it was so forgettable that I
God.
got his ass. Holy shit! I didn't even submit one. Man, this is a hard.
We're gonna get there.
Man, I'm going to wolf jail.
Right, the ring. I would say, that would be something like I would tie that into like it gives him an advantage on resisting the change.
Yeah, because like another thing is like, as soon as I was kind of pointing out how that would essentially just be removing an obstacle instead of adding something fun, is that I was like, oh well, maybe it's like something where he could like control his wolf form, but then I'm like, but that is just going to turn into a combat thing, like turning into a wolf and mauling.
Oh, you know what's fun? What if the ring had charges and it only recharged when he became a wolf?
Nice.
Another really
that
fun.
is interesting.
That
it
is
has
an interesting
speak with
idea.
wolves on it.
Right, so it'd be like, oh, I can skip my shifting for 3 months if it's a full moon thing, but on that fourth moon, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So it's like, what am I going to? You can start planning ahead. Like, oh, should I turn into a wolf on month 2 or month 3? So I have my charges for these next, and then okay, it stops the change, but it's still something that he has to consider. But it's no longer as dire a consideration as every month I need to be out of town and locked away.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, my idea is a public defender job.
A public defender job. I like
Heavy caseload.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They all did it.
Objection.
I mean, that's very character appropriate. I think that's a lot of fun.
Sure.
Did I reward Sebney epilogue? Because I made you like the actual administrator for the guild.
Yes.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yes, we gave you that position. You
Yeah.
You weren't in charge of people. You just got to be in charge of contracts and admin.
Yeah, it was perfect for him.
Well,
it was perfect.
let's kind of do something opposite then. How about you have someone like, I don't know, like Bill, or maybe like
Bill
Knock.
Stabums?
Yeah, Bill Stabums, or Knock, or a character that is built around in combat being a stabber or somebody.
Yeah, I
causing
gave-
chaos or whatever.
I gave Knock a blade that eats undead creatures.
Yeah. So like, how would you reward some?
Well,
like,
one of the
characters
things
like
that I liked rewarding, I rewarded you with
Cookbook for Knock.
and this wasn't like actually for your character or anything, but because I liked how you role played and like the energy you gave to it.
Yeah.
I rewarded you with Wade, a character that was just like you and part of your same family that put you on your own toes, because it's like anything that Bill will do, Wade will also do.
Yeah.
And it became like I felt like that was a reward
It was
for
like a
you
Cold
with the
War.
player and not Bill the character.
So this is actually an interesting thing to talk about. Is a non-combat reward saying, I know that you like your play style to include this sort of thing, so I'm just going to center that into more of our sessions. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, I think a non-combat reward should always encourage creative thinking and role play and engagement with the character itself. And I think Wade's a perfect example, and I think that cookbook for Knock is a really good example too. You
likes
want
the
to talk
food.
about that a little bit?
Yeah, so Knock, he's a gourmand. That was part of his kind of vibe. So yeah, that's my idea. Cookbook. I submit for the approval of the Midnight Society.
Okay, I like the idea of the cookbook, but also, how do you then
Use it in
that-
combat.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking freak.
How do you use
make
it in
meals for all of us?
non-combat?
But he was constantly making, like you said, making meals for us. He was it was a anchor for his RP.
Yeah.
And I always loved, Steven was so good about jumping in there and saying like,
What's good around here?
what's good around here. We go to the tavern. I get behind the bar and start talking to the chef, kind of thing. Like, it was a lot of fun.
So, okay, I'm going to use this as an example because I think it perfectly sums up the tension in non-combat rewards, especially at a table where you have a diverse crew of people liking different types of gameplay and everything. Let's say, like, a boss is killed and we're doing, like, a reward thing. Like, the boss has, like, this cookbook that has, like, was signed by this, like, gourmand or whatever from ages ago. First edition.
Borden Gamzee.
Morgan Gamzee. And it's like a first edition, and Nock's like, wow, that's so cool. That's amazing. And then, someone else in the party gets a glove that gets to cast Fireball 3 times a day. Then it's like, oh, like how do I make these feel the same? You know what I mean?
Why do they need to feel the same?
They don't have to, but I'm just saying that, like, because I always want my players to feel like this is so cool and like I like this a lot, and I don't want them to feel like compare and despair sort of thing.
That's their own
That's
problem.
something that the player has to deal
I
with.
can't control
You
that.
can't solve for that.
Yeah.
You can't control how people feel. You can only control how you
react.
I mean, that's absolutely true, and I
say
agree.
that all the time on the show.
I will say, like, if you want to try and put thought and energy towards that, you need to think about.
So I don't like giving gifts.
Oh man, I'm right there with you. But you need to think about like this time, that time. So this time, this player got the non-combat reward, which on its face may seem less useful, but I guarantee is probably going to be interesting, engaging. useful.
And remembered a lot more often.
Yeah,
than
and
the glove.
exactly remembered as well than that +3 wand or whatever. Next time, the character who got the +3 wand is going to get that non-combat item,
Right.
and the person who got the non-combat item last time is going to get that.
They're going to get a
sword.
dirty novel.
But like, I guess, is there a way to make instead of it feel like, because then in that way you're kind of inherently valuing them differently. Is there a way to make them feel the same? Like maybe the cookbook has something in
what
it.
do
where,
you
But
mean?
I don't think
I
that there's a
don't
different
understand.
valuation there. I think it's a different utility.
Sure.
So like the +3 is for combats.
Right.
And yes, as a combat 5e, D&D in general is a combat system. So there will be a perceived value.
Yeah.
But like if the player comes to you and says like, hey man, you know, Steven got to walk away with that +2 wand,
Fucking
and I got a fucking X-ray ring.
Stop handing out plus weapons. They're boring.
It is.
But I would say, hey, I get it. You know, I really put some thought into that. Think on it a little bit here. You know, if you want me to go into why I gave your character that, I'll talk with you.
Yeah, I think that for me, I guess the thing that I am, and it's not so much about a valuing more or less, because I agree that it's sort of about more utility than anything else. It's more about like how can you center these non-combat items in a mechanical process. It doesn't have to be a benefit, but like a process. So like, is there some way?
How can you, or
performance.
whether you should?
Like, I guess should you, but also
I don't think so.
You don't think
But
so?
let's
Okay.
talk about could.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say could you? Yeah.
How could you?
Yeah, 'cause
but I think
again-
how should I think is not useful. I don't know if not everything has to be mechanical.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like things should be able to serve the fiction as much as
And again,
more
we
than
want to roll the
anything, really.
dice as few times as possible.
Right.
If you want to play that way.
Yeah.
But let's think about playing it. Yeah, what could you do?
Yeah.
How
Like-
could you make it
I
mechanical?
was gonna say, like, the cookbook gives you a +2 or
Yes.
advantage
So every
on
time you-
performance or a persuasion
cooking
if
skill
you're
or
using
whatever.
it over dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you know you can use the cookbook, like you have this many charges like per whatever whenever you make a meal for the group, and you know it takes you like X amount of count times. I don't know, fix your wilderness rules because they're shit. But
Yeah.
you know if let's say you have good robust wilderness rules,
Yeah.
and you're cooking for the whole group. Then you know they all get like an inspiration or something like that. Yeah, they all get like some benefit, or they all like can ignore some level of exhaustion or fatigue or
Yeah,
something
and
if you're
even
playing
if- I
Karen
guess
or
so.
whatever.
There's a recipe for chicken noodle soup that removes disease in the cookbook.
Okay, yeah,
Okay, so that's,
That's
a
good.
good
I love
idea.
that. Yeah,
That's
I
a
love
good
that.
idea.
Yeah, it's good.
But like,
It
you
could be
know,
like a
I
spell
guess
book, yeah.
It could also be sort of like a thing where you could find recipes around and put it into the cookbook, and then people like start coming up to you and be like,
Yeah.
I made that for my girlfriend, and now she's agreed
you can
to
also
marry me
use
or
it.
whatever.
You can also use it for like not bartering, but sort of like ingratiating yourself to somebody else, to
Yeah.
being like, hey, like you know, if you want like, oh, I really want like will you give me this you know bag of rations or this sword or whatever? Can I trade you this recipe that's
Yeah.
very good? And like,
Right.
you know me, I have the reputation of being like a great chef.
So yeah,
and
I was
then here
thinking
you go.
about like
that.
renown is like an interesting
Yes, exactly.
reward as well. Yes,
I have a great one. I'm
Can't
so
wait for
excited
this.
about this. All right, so the cookbook is a magical cookbook, and you can put recipes in it.
Yep.
But it's connected to other versions of it. And so other chefs that have this book are also putting their recipes in it. So different recipes show up, and you become part of this
like a network of chefs.
this network of chefs. And that also gives you like
a food network?
adventure hooks and quest items. Because someone puts in like
like, help me! I'm
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like here's my recipe, and it's like a
Step 1, please help me from this game.
right, and then you get this recipe, and it's like not a recipe; it's
Recipe
a call
of
for
saving
help.
me,
And you're
yeah.
like, which chef? And you have to go look for all the shelves that have this book, and you're like, that'd be a great.
I feel like
little
if we
adventure
did that,
concept.
I would want the chef group for the cookbooks thing to be like a really small elite group.
Yeah.
Right, like, be
Like-
4 or 5 copies of this.
So have
book.
you guys seen Wes Anderson's Grand Budapest
Oh,
Hotel?
and then you don't know who has the
love it.
books.
Yeah, because then you
Yes.
have the like it was like the Society of Keys or whatever,
Yes.
which are all the maitre d's in all of the big hotels in Europe. And like basically when one needs help, they would just send out the call, and it would go across like all of Europe until they found the thing that they needed and then get it back to them so they could all still like maintain a level of service essentially.
Yeah.
But it could be like that where
Wow.
you're like an elite
Yeah.
group of chefs and it's like guys, I have this huge like dinner. I'm preparing a meal for the king, but I need a golden carrot. And then it's like you have that sort of thing of like you can
golden
call
carrot.
upon like these people to help and all that kind of stuff.
All right, we get your adventure like, oh, there's a golden carrot, but there's been a dragon in the fields, and you're like, I'm an adventurer. I'll go get that golden carrot.
Yeah.
I happen to be an adventurer. The rest of you are all working at restaurants, but I am on the road.
Yeah, so
That's
I
a good
guess-
like backstory.
Yeah, I think that like
Like a background.
It is interesting to attach benefits to other parts of the character creation process, like the background, which basically that is like the informant like feature of like a one of the backgrounds. I forget which one it is.
It's the assassin or bounty hunter, maybe. Yeah.
That you have like a contact in the police force or whatever. Like you could have like a lot of those, which I think is great, and also like features are always fun and things like that too.
Yeah,
that are
because
not.
remember, like combat is one of the pillars of the game. Social and exploration, the other two. Items can be a social item, a utility item, an exploration item, or a combat item. Like, I don't think players or you as a DM should be valuing combat items more heavily over social RP and exploration items.
Yeah. I guess like
There's that
yeah,
should word again.
because when you get to
I'll
like
should you in the face.
like when you get to like exploration or whatever, you could like find like a magical compass that always points towards your next objective or something like that.
So someone
actually-
saw Pirates of the Caribbean.
I was going to say, so one of the things in the Icos Nights, we're going to have something like that.
Yeah.
Like the quest board is meant to be like, hey, a thing that we haven't gotten yet is going to be like
points to the
kind of like, giving us direction. Like here are a few things that
Take a quest off the quest board,
Yeah, kind of
and a little light will show up on your
Thanks,
heads-up
Questy.
display.
yeah.
Great.
this goddamn pop up every time.
Fucking Clippy.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for talking to us, the tabletop crew, about non-combat role.
But we can't
We
hear
hope
you.
it was a
We
rewarding
haven't been able
experience.
to hear you
This entire
but I
time.
hope that you liked our conversation. Everyone, if you want us to talk about a specific subject, please send us a email. You can do that by going to tabletopod.com, heading to the contact sheet, which is on that front page, and just sending us a little question via email. We'll definitely
note.
a little special
note.
thank you. A little note. And also, if you want to support the show in a monetary way, head to Patreon. We have an extra episode of content every single month, and that is not including the modules and other random stuff we drop in there periodically. And if you don't have the resources, I understand, man. Why don't you go down in your podcast catcher and rate and like the show? Leave a comment. Tell your friends. It is how we keep this show moving. All right, everyone. We will see you next week with another episode of Tabletopped. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.